We thought the biggest negotiation revolved around Kyle Tucker's average annual value. That reported $50 million figure is a shockwave that rivals Ohtani's sticker price. But behind closed doors, a deal was already sealed last week, hidden inside a single, heavily redacted internal memo at Dodger Stadium. This wasn't about securing Tucker's elite defensive prowess in the outfield. It was about weaponizing the man he might replace, the piece the Dodgers are perfectly willing to sacrifice to truly maximize their future dominance. Welcome to 601 Daily News, where we dissect the monstrous contracts and the ruthless chessboard strategy of Major League Baseball. If you thought an annual salary of $50 million was just money, you haven't seen the long game these mega owners are playing yet.
Kyle Tucker is the focus of this entire offseason, a 28-year-old outfielder with 4 consecutive All-Star appearances, but a career trajectory that hit a worrying plateau after initial whispers suggested a $400 million mega deal might be on the table. The current bids reflect this uncertainty. The Toronto Blue Jays are offering the safe harbor, the traditional long-term security, seeking a decade of stability. Meanwhile, the Dodgers and the New York Mets are taking the high-risk, high AAV approach, focusing on maximizing Tucker's peak years.
The Mets offer, a reported $50 million per year for a short contract, potentially 3 years totaling $120 million to $140 million, is what has truly broken the internet. It is an astronomical figure, second only to the game's 2 biggest stars in terms of AAV, and it instantly sparks the argument. Are the Mets, under the pressure of Steve Cohen's immense wallet and zero tolerance for failure, being reckless fools again? Many analysts are quick to jump to that conclusion, recalling past short-sighted splurges that failed to deliver a trophy, arguing that paying a premium for a player who logged a .841 OPS in 2025, a good number but not an elite one deserving of $50 million, is pure desperation. But I would argue that this is actually a brilliant strategy born from necessity. The Mets are gambling, yes, but it's a calculated short-term deployment of capital, says our veteran expert Kenji Sato in a private conversation earlier this week. They avoid the toxic long-term commitment, sidestepping the back end of the contract where the player inevitably declines and the luxury tax penalty skyrockets. By buying 2 to 3 prime years of a top 3 full-time outfielder, ranked only behind Judge and Ohtani in overall WAR since 2021, they get immediate impact without future handcuffs. They saw the short-term AAV benchmark Ohtani set and decided they could match that intensity, even if they can't match the decade commitment. The counter-argument that the Mets are setting themselves up for another heartbreaking playoff-less regular season is valid, but it fundamentally misunderstands the modern financial playbook. The short-term, massive AAV deal, despite the high cost, prevents the contract from becoming the bad debt that cripples a franchise's flexibility 5 years down the line.
It tells the league, we are willing to pay the highest price for the highest short-term quality to win now, but we won't be trapped later. This is the sophisticated, ruthless maneuvering of an owner who doesn't fear the luxury tax, but who fears losing control. However, the most fascinating angle belongs to the Los Angeles Dodgers. For them, Tucker is not primarily a batting upgrade, it's a defensive solution.
While Ohtani is locked into the DH spot, the Dodgers desperately need superior defense in the outfield, a clear weakness that Tucker's Gold Glove potential immediately solves. But the true genius of their pursuit lies in asset management, creating a situation where they have too much talent. If the Dodgers successfully acquire Tucker, an entirely new problem surfaces, one that leads directly back to our opening loop, the fate of Teoscar Hernandez. Hernandez, acquired from the Mariners, had a stellar 2024 season, hitting 33 home runs and driving in 99 runs. Crucially, the Dodgers signed him to an extension, a relatively cheap 3-year, $66 million deal with a club option in 2028. If Tucker is signed, Hernandez becomes excess inventory, a high-performing bat whose value in the trade market is exponentially higher precisely because his contract is so manageable compared to his production. The moment the Dodgers acquire Tucker, Teoscar Hernandez is gone, asserts Baseball Insider Maria Jimenez. The $50 million for Tucker isn't just buying an elite outfielder, it's maximizing the trade value of the already acquired Hernandez.
They aren't going to trade Teoscar for cash. They are going to package him, a proven 33-homer, 99 RBI bat on a value contract for the top-tier starting pitching they truly need.
It's high-level roster alchemy, turning an expensive FA acquisition into two massive roster upgrades. This is the climax of the FA market. The Mets offer raw cash and short-term intensity, betting that Tucker will regain his rumored $400 million form and deliver a World Series before his contract expires. The Blue Jays offer stability and total financial security. But the Dodgers offer an elegant, calculated destruction of their own roster surplus to strengthen a different area. For Tucker himself, who watched his dream of a $400 million deal vanish due to injury and a slight dip in production, the short-term, high AAV deal is a desperate but essential bet on himself. It gives him the chance to reset, prove he is still that generational talent, and potentially re-enter the market at age 30 before his legs slow down. It's a painful acceptance that the long-term guarantee isn't there, forcing him to take the highest possible salary to maximize the next 2 years. The question for every team is whether Tucker, who has the speed, the glove, and the history of great performance, is truly worth this financial strategy. Given the Mets' history, one fan noted online, they need to learn from the past, or they will be fighting for a wildcard spot again.
But if Cohen successfully buys 2 years of Tucker's peak for the price of a small country's GDP and avoids the 8-year anchor, he might just pull off the most expensive yet least risky gamble of the decade. The entire FA market hinges on which philosophy wins: the short-term sprint, the long-term marathon, or the strategic acquisition designed purely to trigger a revolutionary trade.
That internal memo at Dodger Stadium outlining the contingencies for Teoscar Hernandez's departure is the real twist we should have been tracking all along. Now it's your turn to tell us what you think. Which team's strategy, the Mets' high-risk AAV, the Blue Jays' long-term commitment, or the Dodgers' trade bait maneuver, is the smartest way to win a championship?
Let us know in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this deep dive into the business of baseball, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe to 601 Daily News for more expert analysis every single day.